And one of the results is that the conscious mind is born. When once we get this conscious mind absorbed into ourselves, then it is the original mind that exists. That is the pure ourselves inside. Then this lower mind does not exist. What we now call the conscious mind does not exist. But the senses will be functioning. The tissues and the body will be functioning. The respiration and the circulation will be functioning. Everything is normal except the conscious mind. You will live in this world just as you are living when you are attending the opera or the TV. All the programs of your conscious mind will be cancelled. And once again, programs will be checked out by your inner personality. And they are according to the universal plan and not your plan. Such a state will be achieved by a proper practice of pranayama and pratyahara. But pranayama should be practiced in its true sense according to Patanjali and according to Bhagavad Gita, and not according to other yoga books. For example, Patanjali never asked us to make kumbhaka in pranayama. When we take a deep breath inside and keep the breath inside for some time, it is called kumbhaka by the yoga teachers. But neither Bhagavad Gita nor Patanjali prescribed kumbhaka to be practiced by us. The type of pranayama prescribed by them is the regulation of the pulsations of life and not the smothering of the respiration and not the suffocation of the respiration. Pulsations are different from respiration. Respiration is also one of the results of pulsation. And pulsation never means respiration. There is a pulsation going on from the time of our birth till the time of our death. And it is a double pulsation of centripetal and centrifugal pulsations. It is making our muscles and nerves expand and contract at various places of our body. And this is causing what we call respiration and circulation of the blood by the heart. The pulsation is causing respiration to the lungs and circulation to the heart. That is why respiration is taking place and we are not doing the respiration. Sometimes we say, I am breathing. Breathing is being done through us and we are living. So, the pulsation is the power to expand and contract the material of our body, and that pulsation is called prana. That prana is regular when we are born, and that is rhythmical and musical when we are children. But when we grow old in age, many times we disturb the music of the respiration and the circulation. Whenever we are angry, they are disturbed. The respiration becomes quick and the heartbeat becomes a palpitation. Whenever we are jealous, they are disturbed. Whenever we fear, whenever we are suspicious, they are disturbed. Many are the situations we create to disturb the music of the lungs and the heart. The result is, after such some years of age, our respiration is irregular, heartbeat is irregular, until the doctor discovers it. But the doctor can never do anything to help you about this matter, because the cardiologist knows only the muscles and the nerves and the skin of your heart. He has nothing to do with yourself who is making the heart work. So, no use of cardiology or pulmonology. It is the pulsations that are making you work, your lungs and your heart, and they are not working independently. So a doctor of pulsations is required, and a cardiologist, however great his qualifications may be, is absolutely of no use when the function of the lungs and heart are disturbed. Now the art of pranayama is to set right again the respiration and the heartbeat. It is a great dimension of new science that Patanjali and Bhagavad Gita has given us. When you begin to practice pranayama in its true sense, the respiration will re-establish its own previous rhythm and music. That is, the regularity of the respiration and the regularity of the heartbeat will be re-established. And the process of pranayama should be like this according to them. In order to make the pulsations of your respiration equalized, it is useless to try with your nose and chest, because the regularity of the irregularity of the lungs and the heart depends upon the regularity or the irregularity of the work of your conscious mind. Now begin to make the work of the conscious mind regular. That is, fix up certain timings in the day and try to do the same thing in the same hour and minute. Every day, try to do it like that. Select your own timings according to your own routine and your own profession. First of all, understand your duties at home and your duties in the office. Make a programming. Fix up your timings. And from the next day onwards, try to follow the program, trying to do the same thing in the same hour and same minute, without having any tension of the effort at all. Gradually, a change takes place in you. The vibrations of your mental activity get regulated. The various ugly polygons of your mental vibrations
annihilé,
will become regular polygons. The nasty pictures of irregular polygons of your mental activity will become regular, and gradually you will have a regulated mental activity, and it begins to respond in terms of your increased consciousness. The respiration becomes normal day by day, and the heartbeat begins to become normal. Then only you are expected to begin practice of pranayama. Before practicing regularity in the daily routine, if you begin to practice pranayama, it is nothing but self-suffocation and self-smothering. You will understand that the music in your respiration is gradually re-established. At this stage, you begin pranayama, the fourth item of yoga practice. Sit in comfort, close your eyes and relax every muscle and nerve in your body. Mentally travel through every part of your body, relaxing every muscle and every nerve. When you have completed this from head to foot in a slow and leisurely way, then close your eyes. Begin to observe the movements of your respiration. Begin to observe within yourself how the muscles and nerves are making their movement within your chest, how the abdominal muscles are moving, how the respiratory cage is moving. Begin to observe every movement that is going on. Do this for 15 minutes a day. Try to understand how the respiration is re-establishing its own equilibrium. You will find that your mind is engaged with your respiration. Every day after your practice, you will understand that you are living for 15 minutes a day. The absence of your conscious mind, yourself being present. Because when your conscious mind is engaged with your respiration, you are living freely without your conscious mind. Just as when you go to the house of your friend who has a horrible dog in his house, and
Horrible.
when the dog is not allowing you to approach his gate, all your life you are trying to go into the house, but the dog is not allowing you to go into the house. Then when the friend comes from within the house, he smiles at you and calls the dog away. The dog will be engaged with the owner when you have full freedom to enter into the house. Because the horrible dog is called back by its owner. Like this, you will find yourself for the first time free from your conscious mind. You will begin to know what you are. You will for the first time begin to know that you are the supraconscious one. Begin to practice this for 15 minutes, and after 2 or 3 months, you will find yourself fit to take the next practice. That is, you repeat all the experiments, and then after the first 15 minutes of the practice, that is observing your own respiration, then begin to breathe in slow, soft and deep. And breathe in as much as you can, as deeply as you can, without the least discomfort to your lungs. Some people, when they are asked to take a deep breath in pranayama, they will take it as deep as they have to cough it out again. But you see that you take as deep as you are comfortable only. Stop it there. Don't block it there. And worse still, don't block it here. There are some people who take respiration and block it like this. It is the worst experience. And if you block it here, it is better than the worst. And it can be called the worst experience. Don't block it. Let it stand there after taking the deep respiration. Then when you feel, begin to respire slow, soft and deep once again. In the same manner in which you have inhaled, you are expected to exhale also. In the middle, you are not expected to block the respiration in the name of kumbhaka. After some time, you will come to such a stage that the respiration is not necessary for a time. It is what is called kumbhaka and not the blocking of the respiration. The necessity of respiration stops for a while, and it will be an experience of great ecstasy and joy. And that is what is exactly called kumbhaka by the scientists of yoga. It is called the poise of respiration,
L'harmonie.
and it is called Samanavayu in the Bhagavad Gita. The name Samanavayu. And when you practice this daily, just for 15 minutes, then you will know that the mind is coming nearer and nearer the respiration, because the mind is engaged in observing the movements of the respiration. Then finally the mind disappears in respiration. Just as your mind disappeared when you are attending the TV. And this is what is called meditation. You will exist, but your conscious mind will never exist. All the activity of your life will exist, but it is never mental, it is only supramental. And this is what we call meditation according to the scientists of yoga. The purpose of this meditation and the conscious application of this meditation, I will try to explain to you in some other lecture once again. But in the meanwhile, if you begin to practice this process, you will yourself experience what meditation is, and you will know what purpose it serves, and you will be able to make a proper application of it, because when once you are awakened into the supramental, you have nothing to learn from the objective world. It is only a matter of verification that you get from the great masters and the elders, and from the great masters and the elders, and from the scientific books and scriptures. No doubt you will never stop reading great books or going and attending the discourses of great masters. But it is only a matter of verification that you get through them. But the instructions you require will be received from within regularly. Therefore, if some of you, so that when we once meet again, and if I explain some more steps, it will be only a matter of verification of what you have experienced, and not at all a new teaching. This is what the elders teach us by the name of meditation. Thank you all. The difference is, when we do not practice meditation, we will be doing our duty. When meditation is practiced, we will never do our duty, but our duty will be done by us. In the first case,
Dans le premier cas,
there is the strain and tension of doing your duty. In the second case, since you do not do anything at all, since it is only your body and mind that does everything, there is no strain and no tension, because you do nothing, you will do nothing at all, though everything is being done by you. Compare the driving of a motor car of a novice and an experienced driver. A novice is always driving every moment, every minute and every second. His legs are driving, his hands are driving, his eyes are driving, and every part of his body is driving. But if you sit down in his car, you can never enjoy his drive. It will be very jerky, and you have to take some medicine in the evening for the pains you have. And while driving, if you sit by the side, in the side seat, ask him, does this road lead to Mons? He will never turn towards you. He says, shut up, don't talk. But an experienced driver who has a successful drive without any accident at all for 30 years, if you sit by his side, you can question what meditation is. He will clearly explain to you what meditation is more easily and more clearly than I have done to you now. Because he is not driving at all. His hands are driving. He is not driving. His legs are driving. He is not driving. His eyes are driving. He is not driving. His mind is driving. His intellect is driving. He is not driving. His caution is driving. He is not driving. So he is not doing anything at all. In the Bhagavad Gita he is described like this. Udasena vadasenam asaktasteshu karmasu. That means sitting in a chair, not doing anything, looking at you while all of you are doing something. You will be like that while meditation. State while you are in meditation. All the things half done and something done at this stage of your experience will be done fully and with perfection after you attain meditation. One day's work will be done within 1 hour by you because you are not doing anything at all. That is, therefore, there is no trouble to your daily routine life when you practice meditation. The first answer to the first question is, a person born with all the parts of the body normal can attain perfection in meditation. There is no one who can be said that he cannot attain meditation. Even the insane fellow, if you know how to bring him gradually, will be able to begin meditation and reach at least to some degree of perfection. But a human being of average physical and mental health and a normal birth is sure to gain perfection in meditation. And about the diet and the details of taking our food and food habits, it is a subject in itself. But generally speaking, we should avoid all rich foods, which are called the dishes of dinners. Reduce cooked foods as much as possible. Reduce the cooked foods, not quantity. Reduce the cooked food as much as possible. Take more and more green vegetables, juicy fruits that are having juice, regular use of wheat and honey, and many of these cereals soaked in water kept for 1 day should be eaten. Much more liquid than we take normally, especially pure water, than any other drinks, should be the diet of a person who wants to attain perfection in meditation. Such a food is not compulsory, but if we want to get a hold over meditation, it becomes compulsory. It should be reduced. Need not be stopped, but it should be minimized. And all the rich foods should be stopped. For example, butter and cheese also should be stopped. Therefore, meat also is expected to be stopped. Butter. And milk Yogurt and sour cream can be taken according to the ancient authorities. Milk, yogurt and buttermilk, skimmed buttermilk are taken. The texts, the scientific texts never mention the meat of a particular animal to be separately avoided. Yes, for some time it so happens. As long as there are impurities in the etheric and the astral matter, as long as there is some toxic influence in the finer vehicles, we will go into sleep whenever we meditate upon the respiration. But when we continue the same process, the subtler vehicles get cleared of their toxic condition, and then we will experience this sleep no more, and we will go into the supra-conscious state as soon as the toxic condition is completely cured. The only thing is we should not get discouraged and stop the process. Thank you all.